The express lanes just ran right over them, and so did CHP as well. And now we're up to just about 90 miles an hour. The desperation here as they try to get around this little pocket of traffic. Once we get past the 55,
wait, this guy's going off the rails. Hold on.
Through the Anaheim and Fullerton areas, and then maybe going to be pretty wide open until we approach the 5. So, but now up over 100 miles an hour. So all of a sudden get
Bro, hold on, this guy's full send.
That might only be the 7th time that I can remember CHP trying to do a pit maneuver on the freeway, and it was just so perfect. But you know, kind of a heavy sedan,
high-speed pits,
you know, kind of nimble
DUI
as well for its size, and was able to just spin the car right around, slam on the gas pedal, get out of it. Looks like something might have just flown.
Is he on flat tires?
Maybe
some shit's flying off of his fucking wheels.
Spun around like that, but we continue. Absolutely no sign of giving up here.
Yep.
This alleged DUI driver.
Chad, this is gonna cook it. Hold on.
Clearly, that pit maneuver did not stun the driver whatsoever, and we just showed a replay of it just a moment ago, and we're going to do it again for our audience in case you missed it. Rare that we see a pit maneuver on the freeway, and it happens so quickly. Here it is once again.
And really quick one, I just want to point something out. Watch when they spin the car around. You've got the second officer who was so close to being able to pit him in. Because that's what you want when you do those pit maneuvers. That secondary officer needs to come in and put their bumper right in front of the suspect. And he was so close to being able to do that to prevent the suspect from getting away. And usually these pit maneuvers are designed to have the car stall. But when you have these higher performance cars, that's not always the situation. And clearly in this case, it didn't stall, and he was able to keep going.
Didn't stall, turned around, and he almost fishtailed as he regained his composure, and he kept going. And now this is when we're seeing higher speeds, a little bit more daring driving here on the freeway, and a lot more traffic. And there it is, the CHP, as you said, Mike, not giving up whatsoever.
Off the freeway.
Off the freeway.
Could be
here
good.
We go. Where is this, Des?
Chad, we got a contender here, Chad. Hold on.
Well, actually, let's see here. I thought it was going to be an off-ramp, but so we're over by Kramer, Glassell, getting into Anaheim, maybe actually just on the right-hand shoulder to try to avoid another little pocket of traffic here as we shuffle through the 57
Chad, this might be Chase of the Year, Chad. We have a contender today.
To Cal State Fullerton intersection of the 91 and the 57. On the right-hand shoulder where there could be so much debris, so much junk that could give you a flat tire or really mess up your car. And just really rolling the dice here to evade the authorities. But look, CHP says nothing doing.
And they're still on him. They're on his tail. That's insane.
They're not afraid to go on the right-hand shoulder. You know, sometimes we see that. Other times we don't. Not every agency will do that. We'll drive on the right-hand shoulder to stick with these suspects, especially if it's for something on the lighter side as far as.
Hey, like the other day, we had a fucking
like a
high-speed pit, actual cinema style.
Right there on the shoulder. Kind of
interesting. Whoa, this guy.
If they had a spike strip
motorcycle
right there
up close on a DUI. Hold on.
Spike strips earlier, but it's going to be pretty difficult now with a suspect who's on the left side of the freeway, then on the right
side. That's reckless as shit.
So maybe an opportunity for another pit maneuver in this heavier traffic, but after what happened last time, not sure that CHP is interested in doing that again. It was so perfect, and you even had that unit who reacted, frankly, perfectly to come in, but the suspect was just half a second ahead of the game.
This guy's prepping something. Hold on.
And here we continue westbound on the 91.
Yeah, he wasn't even phased at all. And when you normally think of somebody being impaired behind the wheel, somebody who's doing some sort of drunk driving or impaired driving, he's not doing this type of driving, right? This is pretty precision driving, high speeds, changing lanes. So far that we know of, right, Mike? He hasn't hit any other car.
No.
There's that pit maneuver again.
Yeah, there's the pit again. And I just really quick, Des had mentioned that he thought he saw something fall off the car. I went back and played that video back.
Yeah, that's probably good.
And it actually looks like they threw something, or he threw something out of the passenger side. I'm going to try to cut that video for you so I can show it to you. But it does look like he threw something out of the right side, the passenger side of the car. It's kind of hard to make out what it is. It looks like it's a black, potentially a little bit of silver object there, though, that he tossed out. And remember, we had heard earlier on the radio that the CHP knows who this guy is, or at least who the registered owner is of the car. And the registered owner does, that was close, does have a criminal history.
No blinkers,
and does
dude.
have a tendency
this is what I draw the line personally.
According to
you do all that, whatever.
CHP
no blinkers.
Has on their record. So that's something they're contending with as well.
And this person contending with more traffic, as we see. And this driver, he's really, being more aggressive, going on the shoulder, using the shoulder on both sides of the 91 here, over on the slow lane and over on the fast lane, doing really anything it takes to avoid this traffic. But things are really coming to a stop here, and it makes you wonder
fucking heckler?
if they're going to be able to get him within all of this traffic.
They're really staying bumper to bumper there with him, right, Mike? Look at that.
Yeah, I mean, they've not given up the entire time. You know, Des and I, back in like the Riverside area, saw a motor unit that was with them as well, but that motor unit kind of gave away. But the motor unit was good because when he gets in this heavy traffic, it's easier for the motor unit to stick with him than it was the SUVs. Of course, the motor unit, you know, it's also more dangerous for them to do that kind of thing.
They would never.
Yeah, I mean, CHP, for, again, the want just, and I don't want to say just, but just being potential DUI, they're chasing this guy hard, and he's running hard.
He sure is, being very aggressive out there on the roadways.
Holy!
Fortunately, not going as fast as he was.
Police got outplayed.
As I say that, it
Police
looks like
outplayed
the speeds are picking back up as, you know, he's got the shoulder to use and going up around 70 miles an hour, and it's just so dangerous as so many of these other cars have no idea that he's coming up racing.
This guy's crazy.
And anyone just making a quick lane change could cause an accident.
And Mike, do we know where this started? Because now we're in Anaheim, right?
Yeah, now we're in Anaheim. This started in almost in the city of San Bernardino. San Bernardino, the sheriff's helicopter picked it up southbound on the 215, approaching the 10. And then we were headed out there for a different story, and then we started coming down. And so, yeah, we've made significant distance. And as I was saying
why
earlier,
is he preparing for a pit? Bro, no way.
Like 3-4 different CHP offices now, which is always the bad news for the criminals when they're running. CHP can chase you through the entire state.
Wow.
It started in San Bernardino.
Dude, they really want this guy.
91 for a while, which basically got him into the Anaheim area that we're seeing right now, right?
Yeah, now we're at the 91, yeah.
Still on the 91, and just really, I mean, just almost like a little cat and mouse game as he's going from side to side here on the 91 freeway, doing, you know, these aggressive lane changes, going back and forth, which of course, you know, increases the danger for everyone else out there. But the CHP seems to be backing off just a little bit,
as always.
hoping, I'm guessing, to get this driver to, you know, stop being so aggressive. That often works, but we've seen this driver, for whatever reason, just speed up and go 120 miles per hour at what seems like nothing.
Get off the
just
fucking
all of a
highway,
sudden
bro.
hit the gas. So very unpredictable, this driver.
And despite the heavier traffic, it looks like he is sticking to the freeways. He is sticking to those center lanes, as you see there, right by the center divider. And right now going 52 miles an hour, not too fast. But again, it seems right now, even with the heavier traffic, he has no problem keeping quite a distance from the CHP that's behind him just a little bit. Again, a driver wanted for possible DUI, a pursuit that started in the San Bernardino area. We are now in the Santa Ana Garden Grove area. This driver covering quite a bit of ground, leaving the CHP basically behind him in chase. What we do know is the CHP knows who the registered owner of this car is. Whether that is the driver, we do not know, but they know that the owner has a criminal history.
Chad, we can't get comments because they encrypt now.
And that is a big concern for them. There hasn't been any talk about a weapon, but Mike was just telling us a little while ago that he saw something being thrown out of the car, right?
Yeah, and I don't definitively know that it was a weapon. I'll tell you when you look at it, and I've got the tape right here on the right side of your screen as he comes across. You saw it thrown out right there. I'll slow the video down for you, highlight it, and you see it kind of bounces there on the asphalt. Now,
almost jumps the median, right?
A little bit, yeah. And interesting that he tossed it out the driver's side and not the passenger side, whatever that was, comes out of the window there and kind of bounces along the freeway. I don't know that CHP I saw that. I don't know if they went back to try to retrieve whatever that was.
He's just trolling.
But this was right on the 91 express lanes in the
Anaheim
Anaheim
phone
area
or a knife.
Was,
it just looks like it's just.
Do they know about that, Mike? Do they
trying to make him go back or some shit?
You know, I didn't initially hear it. It was hard because I didn't see where
I
wasn't watching that live. Okay. It wasn't until Des kind of pointed out that something may have fallen off the car that I went back to look. Des, do you know? Did you hear any radio traffic to see if they went to try to recover that?
I did not hear that, but now my pilot Mike up here is telling me that we're hearing from law enforcement.
It had a very shiny side. I'm thinking glass.
The wife may have called this in, or is something to do with the suspect's wife on
the
this.
wife,
so
huh?
I'll try to clarify those details once I get a chance, but. It sounds like the situation.
Like cheating on his wife and trying to fucking come back with the car and still drunk.
Wife is
try to play it off.
Some of the chatter that we're hearing right now. So that might be kind of interesting if she was the one who called in, suspecting, you know, that her husband or significant other was driving drunk and maybe gave them the license plate or something like that, and then they ran it and then they saw the criminal history attached to it.
Yeah, California family court's not gonna like him very much.
A little bit of light. We'll try to clarify that situation as we just continue to be on the 91. I mean, we've basically been on the same
A
stretch
male
of
in
asphalt
California
the entire time, although
with a luxury
making
car
the transition now to the southbound
and criminal.
5. I believe.
Good
no,
luck,
this
bro.
is, well, let's just give me a minute here. This big crazy interchange of the 5 and the 91 with all of the flyover lanes, and we'll see here as the suspect was trying to make a last-second maneuver.
It looks like it could be the 5.
Going to continue westbound. I think we are going to be
northbound 5.
Just give us 1 second here. We continuing on to I guess we're going to the northbound 5 now. So that is not going to be good as far as traffic.
Do we have tracks on ABC, really?
This suspect right now. I mean, we've already hit some patchy on and off slowing there on the 91. Thursday, one of, if not the busiest days of the week on any stretch of roadway.
Thank God.
A little bit fuzzy, but we can say this started in San Bernardino, has traversed through Riverside.
Better angle, higher frame rate.
Orange County now, as you can see.
Better colors and centering, good commentary.
Northbound side.
No clutter on the screen. Psh, too easy.
Right hand, we see the damage on the right hand side of the Mercedes there. Do you have any idea if that was previous damage or if that was something that happened during this chase?
Yeah, trying to gather that information. It's hard to say at this point. We don't have any information that he has been in any collisions yet. I can say that this pursuit has been going on for the better part of the last 20 minutes or so, roughly speaking, at least. Maybe even a little bit more than that, maybe even close to a half hour. But anyways, we don't know how that damage got there. We don't even know if it's his vehicle or hers. We really don't know much about how this all started or who's behind the wheel here, except to say that it is apparently a violent criminal who is basically traveling within the speed limits. But some of these moves across some of these lanes are a little bit concerning. Hard to say, again, whether this is a completely composed driver here or, again, how this all came to be. What crimes led to this pursuit, or whether it was just a reckless driving. Maybe they pulled over, or maybe they ran the place. There's just so many possibilities. We don't know exactly, but he is now on the northbound side of the 5 freeway, covering quite a bit of real estate, considering this started all the way out in San Bernardino, now making his way towards LA. So we are taking a full tour
a good car,
of the Southern California here as he makes his way up towards LA County.
Yeah, and as we're talking about this being one of those getaway days, people are trying to extend their Labor Day holiday weekend, and the roads are pretty open for this driver. But Chris, I've noticed lately, it seems like somewhat of a theme. These windows are so tinted, and I only can say this is that I was pulled over one time right when I got my car windows tinted. This is years ago, and the police officer said, or the CHP officer said, you're not allowed to have your driver and passenger side windows tinted. So I took it off. I didn't realize it was against the law. But when you think about law enforcement trying to pull suspects over, it is so dangerous. Just these natural routine traffic stops. They can take
that is actually correct.
Different scenario, especially when the police cannot see inside these vehicles. And we are looking inside. We cannot see. We see a driver with a white T-shirt on, and that's sort of all we can see because these windows are so deeply tinted.
You're so right about that, Colleen. The laws across the country are all over the place when it comes to tinted windows, but this is the situation
never allowed tinted
that
windows.
law enforcement dreads, because those tinted windows become blind spots during a traffic stop, as you mentioned. And so now you have the situation where everybody is trying to peer in there, law enforcement, media, everybody's trying to get a glimpse and how much of a threat lies behind those tinted windows. And without that knowledge, it becomes much more of a wild card in every situation, especially during a police pursuit such as this. As far as we could tell here, I can plainly see the driver, that front windshield. I can't tell if it is treated or not, but I can't see any motion in that passenger seat. I don't think there's a passenger in that front seat, at least, but I could be wrong about that, because even at this angle, you can see the reflection is a little bit dark to see through there. So not only those side windows, but I believe this does.
I think the front windshield looks okay. And when you were in the front, we could see that there wasn't anyone in the passenger seat. But what's interesting as well, Chris, is the speed of this. You mentioned it had slowed down a little bit. The pickup truck just behind almost past this person. What are you seeing about other commuters? There's a line of police behind this vehicle, but there are those who are just driving right past the pursuit as if this is just regular rush hour
these guys
traffic.
are fucking brain dead. This guy is probably trying to get the cops' attention, trying to talk to him.
For the time being.
You're fucking stupid.
You see what I'm saying? This truck right there
is
is
just
driving
along. What the fuck are you
everybody's
doing?
Oh,
man, I fucking hate California drivers, man.
You're right. You're right. This was in pursuit mode just moments ago, and it appears we're trying to zoom in there because I think you're exactly right. Those lights and sirens have been turned off, which does change the situation.
Even the cop lights, you see what's going on, brother.
Back slightly, and I do
also,
not see
you never
those
fucking
sirens going. So motorists
stay fucking
in front of him
to any cars for that during that time.
Not completely aware necessarily that this
Who does
pursuit
that?
is even approaching their vicinity. I was suspecting that motor unit all the way in the back of the pack there was maybe going to try and create a traffic break. But right now, it seems like they are taking on more of a tracking stance than an actual hot pursuit. So we'll see if somebody actually gives the go-ahead to pull off of this completely. Maybe they've made the determination, the incident commander or the watch commander has decided perhaps that this is not worth trailing all the way up the 5 freeway, depending on the nature of the crimes, and again, depending on what they know about the suspect. But certainly, we're going to keep an eye on this because as
not
long
letting
as
him go. There's no point escalating if they're not going to pit him on the highway.
Or maybe they'll farm this off to
There's
other
no point endangering more people. If it doesn't increase the chance that they're going to get him, so they're just going to wait.
As long as he's on the freeway,
they give it opportunities to fucking escalate.
Jurisdiction here. It's going to be completely up to them to decide whether they just want to pull these resources back and let him go or just continue to follow him. One of the reasons they turn those sirens off sometimes is just to take some of the pressure off of him. If they decide they want to put it in tracking mode, maybe his driving will slow down a little bit, or maybe he will do something a little bit different. It'll change the tenor of the pursuit if they can just, you know,
they might just pit him here, though.
Antagonize him quite as
a
much.
lot of
with those units right
space
behind him, they certainly appear to be kind of straddling the fence there between following this suspect and full-on chasing him. Because right now, they are only about 5 car lengths back, and he is well aware that those black and whites are coming up right behind him.
No doubt about that, Chris. Also, you know, Chris, talk about the CHP. They really have a choreographed sort of routine. They know how to do a pursuit, and we watch them. We marvel at their expertise. But really, most of the time, the CHP doesn't stay on that car for the whole chase.
That's a nice truck right there.
All these different cities, correct?
Especially in a chase like this. You're
nice
so right, Colleen. This started in San Bernardino. It went through Riverside. It went through Orange County.
Brother.
Now we're in Los Angeles County.
Are you kidding me?
At some point, we can't say whether it's already happened yet
Shit's
or if it's
hard.
about to happen, but these units in this pursuit will be swapped out with closer CHP division officers. So right now we're in LA County. It's impossible for me to say right now whether that
Tacoma, they're both fantastic.
The SUV Interceptor behind the suspect is the original
Tacoma clears, though,
or whether they've already handed this off
to
the Santa Ana office. I imagine Santa Ana would have been ready to take this over once they got into Orange County, but we weren't quite here for it. Now you can see that silver Mercedes weaving across all 3 lanes, maybe the 4th, showing signs of getting off the freeway, trying to evade these officers.
Ford Raptors is a luxury pickup. It's not a real workman pickup.
An exit coming up, they won't have any problem following him here, but let's see if they cross those lanes with them, because right now they've fallen back. That primary unit crossing over, but still about, I don't know, maybe 50 yards back at least, kind of watching from a distance to see
very
what he decides
small
to do.
bed,
a
lot of plastic,
to exit the freeway
a lot
there,
of bullshit and fluff.
He is
it's not a real truck. Poser.
That right lane. He's in the #1 lane on the northbound side of the 5 freeway, just north of Norwalk here. You know, you watch the driving. Now we start to see a little more movement. Now we can see if there are any clues that point in the direction of a DUI. This is the original one here, was a DUI. So we'll see if the driving matches up with that, or if he, look at him, hands waving out the window, trying to signal at these officers. They're going to keep this going, and certainly it appears he is communicating with them.
Chris, I'm going to interrupt you right now because as we approach 3:30, our live coverage of this breaking news is going to continue on our ABC or your connected TV. But right here, we're going to turn things over now to David Muir for World News Tonight. Thank you for joining us for Eyewitness News at 3 o'clock. We will be back with Eyewitness News at 4 o'clock. Have a great day.
Chad, this stays on. This is the internet broadcast. The other one is the overlaid.
And now we are on our streaming channel, and Chris Christie joins us as we continue
the TV
to follow
one
this. I'm Philip
is
Palmer,
the main
along
one.
with Colleen Sullivan.
This one is the one that's overlaid
Chris, we were
under.
watching this chase, and for so many moments, for 10, 15 minutes, the driver was just lackadaisical because the officers weren't lights and siren following him on the freeway. But just over the last 5 minutes or so, he started to do this kind of activity, which is weaving across lanes. Now it looks as if, from our vantage point, he's onto the shoulder, and as he approaches more traffic, everything takes on a much more serious tone.
Yeah, that's the problem, is that as he's made his way into LA County, heading northbound on the 5 freeway, traffic has really picked up on him. I'm not going to say it's heavy traffic, but there's definitely more volume that he is contending with that he was not dealing with earlier on in this pursuit on the 91 freeway. Now he's got some more traffic, so he's deciding to speed up on that shoulder, using that shoulder as a freeway, and now CHP trying to catch up. They're in the position of deciding whether or not to re-engage. You know, if this driving continues, you're going to see them get involved here if they can catch up, because he is definitely driving more recklessly, more erratically. He's not signaling as he crosses over all of these lanes here, and he's really, in fact, those cops are way back there. The CHP has almost entirely fallen back. They're still heading up this way. They haven't turned around or pulled back completely, but this is no longer a hot pursuit. They are letting him travel northbound on the 5 freeway. They are watching from a distance, but right now, it is not having a real effect on his driving. He's actually driving even more dangerously than he was when they were right on his tail. And now we'll see if the decision-making changes or if they just continue to just let this go. Right now, he is using all lanes and the shoulder of the 5 freeway.
Well, Chris, as you mentioned, the officers pulling back on the ground. What about air support? Where are the helicopters regarding this? Are they following him from above? So they have eyes on him. It's not as if he...
Yeah, in the last few minutes, we now have both helicopters, California Highway Patrol and the LA County Sheriff's Department assisting and watching over this pursuit. And so now that is so correct. He is now basically, he's got the eyes of those helicopters on him, which really is what gives those ground units the opportunity to pull back here. So he does have plenty of eyes on him. They are tracking him from above, but the speeds here are picking up. He's, again, not doing extreme speeds, but you can tell just in this shot here how much faster he's going than all of the rest of the cars on the freeway. In fact, now he's really gassing it. He's pushing about 90 miles per hour, trying to speed past everybody in his way here. It only gets heavier from here, and thank goodness he's on the northbound side, because if he gets on the southbound side, traffic coming southbound out of LA is much heavier as we get towards the bottom of the 3 o'clock hour. But even northbound, he's going to face even more traffic here. So he's got both helicopters watching over. Eventually, one of them will pull off and get fuel, but they're able to watch him from above for now until they decide to go ahead and re-engage him on the ground.
Middle of the city.
Well, yeah.
And he's going to run out of gas, and he's going to be the end of it.
This, Chris, and we can see it's pretty remarkable that there is zero traffic compared to normal days on this stretch of the freeways. But again, I haven't seen this driver hit any other cars other than we have seen the damage on the side of the car.
CHP really wanted to get him, though.
Even kind of touch any cars, even when this person was flying on the shoulder right beside cars. So I do feel for all these innocent drivers. Many of them have zero knowledge that there may be a very dangerous person inside that silver Mercedes.
Yeah, we should reiterate that the little that we do know about this driver is that he is said to have a violent criminal past. So if that's any indication of what they're dealing with, take with that what you will. But in any event, the aggressive nature of the driving is really the most concerning thing I've seen. I mean, he's cut off dozens of drivers at this point with these very last second lane changes. He's not signaling at all, and he is speeding up as he encounters any kind of traffic, even using that shoulder as an expressway, so as an express lane, I should say. And once again, it looks like he might even do it again here. He's speeding up all the way in that right. He appears to be very distracted. He's looking at something either in the center console or maybe a cell phone. He's got his right hand on the wheel. He's definitely
texting
appears to be squinting through that windshield, quite frankly. He's got maybe some glare in his eyes. As we came out of the 3 o'clock show there, at the very end, you might have caught, he actually had his left hand out the driver's side window and was really trying to communicate with that lead officer in the pursuit, telling him to fall back. He was like waving him off, trying to indicate something. I'm not sure, if he's in a sober state of mind at all here. Again, the suspicion is that he is driving under the influence of something.
Mind you.
And I'm just looking for any indicators that would correlate with that. But right now, it just appears to be a, I guess more of a joyride than anything else. He hasn't really posed a major danger except for all these last-minute lane changes, kind of weaving all over the place. Certainly a hazard that they're going to keep an eye on as long as you look at that. He's got something he's reaching. He's reaching for a shopping bag in the passenger seat. He's got something in there. He's got something on his lap now.
Well, he's got merch.
As
he's going to plug his shit.
Negotiate with that steering wheel and this bag now that is on his lap.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's as you talked about the ground crews pulling back and watching from above. Then we watch this driver weaving in and out of traffic. It's almost as if
he bought his wife a gift.
The CHP is trying to make sure the officers are safe, but reduce the stress on him because he has become more erratic the longer this goes on, and now. He's
going to show the gift that he got her on the fucking windshield.
Is that
like
eating?
Eat something.
But whatever he has in that bag.
Looks like a lunch bag.
And of course, now you're driving at freeway speeds. He's probably 35, 40 miles an hour. It's not, high rate of speed, but he needs to be focused on the task at hand, which is driving. And we're just kind of watching to see what he's doing in there. It does. Chris, does this give you kind of an indication that he's alone in the car? Because, why else would he be grabbing bags and things like that? If somebody else was in the car, maybe they would hold it for him or something. So it does, in a manner of speaking, make you think he's the only one in there because we couldn't see inside the vehicle.
Well, I agree with that. As we get a closer look here, he does appear, we can't confirm it, but he does appear to be alone inside this vehicle. But the behavior behind the wheel here is very suspicious. I mean, we've seen plenty of pursuit drivers who reach for a snack or reach for a drink in the middle of the pursuit. This looks like a large plastic bag or even a shopping bag that he's trying to dig through as he turns the steering wheel. I don't know for... this may be maybe a 7 or 8 year old Mercedes-Benz that may or may not have lane assist, but he's basically juggling the steering wheel.
Does not have lane assist. Hell no.
At times, neither hand are on the steering wheel, but you can see he's still lined up with that right lane. He's in the #1 lane, traveling at fairly freeway speeds. In fact, let's go ahead and throw up the real-time speed tracker. You can see he's actually going slightly below speed, the speed limit at about 50 miles per hour as he is distracted with whatever is in that bag. Again, whatever he's reaching for is a complete unknown to us, but he is definitely, I don't want to say he's relaxed. I mean, he's definitely moving around, reaching for things. He's kind of like almost looking for the helicopters, the way he's kind of looking underneath the roof of that car. So you get the impression that he's still aware of the law enforcement helicopters. And by the way, with 2 helicopters right overhead at probably 400 or 500 feet, plus the media helicopters, he's definitely hearing some of this activity and, is probably well aware that he's not out of the woods by any means.
No, he's definitely not out of the woods, as you say, Chris. It is just so interesting to watch, though. You cover pursuits numerous times. It seems like a week these days. Summertime happens, and these drivers just decide that they do not want to be caught.
It's not summertime.
But again, they're all different. Now this one doesn't seem like it's taking on such an immediate
these people
need of nervousness
it's
here.
Nuts.
But one thing that we do want to point out is that also in Redlands, we have activity going on at the home of Dan and Stephanie Menard. That's what you see in this other screen here. Leticia Juarez was there. They are the couple that has been missing, that were last seen this past weekend, leaving their home. They were somehow connected to a nudist ranch in Redlands, but Leticia Juarez was reporting on that. We're going to keep an eye on that because it does look like activity is somewhat underway. We've not seen anybody go into that home yet, but they are certainly surrounding it with what appears to be SWAT. So we're watching that as we continue to follow the chase.
Yeah, and Philip, you're looking on the right-hand side of your screen still, and we're talking, it looks like one of those, obviously a SWAT team vehicle, a Bearcat.
It might just be Ram Ranch, low-key.
And you can see a SWAT member peering through the top. So there is something that's leading them to believe that something dangerous may be happening inside.
Yes, there is a higher density of chases
this couple was
in
last
summer,
seen over the weekend leaving.
There's a
but
much
again,
higher
they're
density of
focusing
chases
so heavily on
when
this
people
home.
are already
We're
doing
not quite
chases.
sure if this is their house indeed. We just know that all the police activity that has been happening throughout the day, it has all been focused on that one home
once
in
you
this
get
one community.
in a week, you usually get 2 or 3 or 4.
Linked to
just how it is.
Dan and Stephanie Menard. So we do know.
I tell you guys this all the time.
They're elderly. One of them suffers from dementia,
just how it
so
works.
there's a lot of concern.
There's a big influential impact
this
with
couple.
it.
Again, they were with their small dog as well. We do know that a lot of the community in this area, they've been very concerned about this couple's well-being. So again, we are watching on the right-hand side of your screen from Redlands. That search taking place. We do know we will go to Leticia Waters for Eyewitness News at 4 o'clock for a live report. But again, we are staying watch over this to see if there's any major breaking developments happening on the right-hand side. And then Chris Christie, you're in Air 7. You're in Boyle Heights now, where this pursuit is taking place. This is a DUI suspect, but again, there's a little bit more behind this DUI suspect. This person may also be very dangerous.
Mediatization.
He's believed to be dangerous, and he is now on the phone as he continues the run from California Highway Patrol, which, by the way, they have now re-engaged this suspect. So he is now he's now encountered with 5 CHP cruisers right behind him with lights and sirens blaring. The pursuit is back on. He is on his phone, and he appears to have the right 2 lanes to himself here as he transitions over to the 10 freeway. We are coming now off the 5 freeway in the East LA interchange, and just like that, we've made our way from San Bernardino, Orange County, and now through LA County, all the way in to downtown LA, where this pursuit is continuing into the East LA interchange. Looks like he might be taking the 60 freeway here. He's got a number of options, as you well know, on the freeway. Right now, he's basically taking the path of least resistance. Every time he has a decision to make or a lane change in front of him, he's basically taking the lane with the least amount of traffic, and that appears to be the route he's going to go here. He does not like sitting in this heavy volume, and he's in the worst spot at the worst time of the day in one of the busiest cities in the world where it comes to traffic. And now he has a full-blown rush hour jam ahead of him here on the northbound side, or I should say northbound 5 freeway in the East LA interchange underneath the 60 freeway now.
Well, Chris, one of the things I was looking at when this happens is if he is dangerous, it feels like it's almost a necessity for police to get up close, because we don't even know if he stole this vehicle. So given the potential for violence, given the failure to pull over, given the DUI, if he gets boxed in somewhere, you could potentially see an opportunity for a carjacking or some sort of violent act by this person. And at that point, CHP is going to need to be there to be able to react quickly. So, and then now, if you see some sort of car accident, which we're looking at again, you feel like that's kind of why CHP's got to get up there so that they are in place with whatever happens.
I will say, Philip, these have become just for whatever reason, and there are lots of reasons. I agree with everything you just said, but for some reason in the last 12 to 24 months, these pursuits and the tactics used by law enforcement, and again, the tactics change agency by agency in each jurisdiction, they have become less and less predictable. Just when you think that they are, committed to getting somebody off the road, they decide at the last minute to just pull back completely and let them go. And that goes for violent criminals. It goes for all kinds of situations where you would think that this is going to end one way, and then law enforcement decides something different. The fact that there's no children in the car and he's alone in the vehicle may play in it. Now, if there was a child in the vehicle and he was definitely armed, then there would be a different calculus there. But in this situation, he's a lone driver behind the wheel. I would hope that you are correct, and we can anticipate that they will continue to follow this through to the very end here, especially in the middle of rush hour here. But there are other factors at play here, including what other calls are going on in the area, how many resources they want to dedicate, what is traffic like, what is the risk to all of these other motorists, which obviously the risk is high, as you mentioned. If this comes to a sudden stop and he's agitated and tries to carjack somebody, we've seen it happen on YouTube numerous times in recent years. It's almost become much more frequent in recent years than it ever has been, where you see that kind of boldness on the part of some of these more experienced pursuit drivers, and they come from various backgrounds. gang members, you name it. They have all shown up on our LA freeways at one point or another in the last several years, and the violence is unpredictable, and the tactics by law enforcement are also unpredictable sometimes. And when you have so many variables like we do right here, this is now graduating into a joyride up the 5 freeway, or I should say on the 10 freeway now. We are now on the 10 freeway, eastbound side, or I should say westbound side of the 10 freeway. That was the sheriff helicopter that just drove through, or flew through the shot there.
Well,
let's make sure. Now, you said westbound side, but the map that we're looking from SkyMax 7 says showing eastbound 10.
I think I'm done.
Yeah, that's the room. Yeah, it is westbound. He is traveling westbound. The northbound, the top lanes going the opposite direction are the eastbound lanes.
Okay, great.
The side that he's on, those are the westbound lanes, as he is just approaching the Fashion District here. So he's well into the heart of downtown LA.
He's going to be running into some real traffic here before very long. I mean,
because
this is
approaching the 110 freeway, and this is exactly.
Chat, I'm gonna roll the outro just so it's done already, okay?
The bottleneck
guys,
is
this
real
is the last segment of the show, okay, chat? This is the last chase, last thing we're doing today, chat.
A lot of traffic out on these freeways, and he is encountering.
Guys, I'm gonna roll the outro, but I'll still watch the chase.
What I would have loved to have seen if they had enough units, and it appears that they may, is for somebody to give the go-ahead and break the traffic behind them.
Twitch, on Discord,
if they could cut traffic off behind them, they'll have less collateral. They'll have less crossfire risk if this comes to an end where they have to use force. Right now, they have about 5 units behind them, but it seems to be just a single file line of units that are just trying to go along with them with their sirens blaring.
Well, I would also say that just general human behavior, when you see 3 CHP officers following a vehicle, most people will probably not want to pass those officers. That's why it was so unusual earlier in the chase when we saw a pickup truck passing a CHP officer, passing this vehicle.
I'll give it the 5 moments.
So I'm hopeful that when people are driving along and they realize kind of what's going on, that they steer clear of the officers. Nobody really wants to pass a police officer. It's just human nature, I would think. But again, here we go with this guy. This bit, Chris, he has pretty much stayed in his lanes, but we have watched as he has made sudden movements to try to get in and out. And I look at that red car right in front of him. They don't know. You know, they just pulled in front of this silver car. They really don't know what's going on behind them. So you can kind of understand for many of the people that are in front of this chase, when this guy comes in zooming around them, you also kind of lined up for road rage in the sense
they know something's coming up because they can hear the sirens. And by the way,
you do that last 30 seconds. Back on that. The sirens are back now.
The sirens are back. Yeah, this is now back in pursuit mode, full pursuit mode. In fact, they have now. Well, this guy has turned his lights off. He's turned his lights off, but check this out, Phil. Go ahead and widen now, Robbie. The traffic break has now been created. So about a couple of football fields behind this pursuit vehicle. Go ahead and widen out. Tilt up there. You can see they've created a traffic break right there. So you now have a unit right there who has created a traffic break across all lanes of the freeway. So now there's a whole group of traffic behind the suspect vehicle, and then the rest of the rush hour traffic that is now being held completely back as they continue to follow the suspect. So now this has been in and out of pursuit mode for the better part of the last hour or so. The driving behind the wheel has attenuated at different paces. I mean, we've seen him speed up, we've seen him slow down, we've seen him cross lanes, we've seen him driving in a straight line for a while, and then before you know it, he starts cutting everybody off and weaving across all 5 lanes of the freeway. So the unpredictability here is continuing. The pattern of unpredictability is continuing as he continues to look for any gaps to squeeze through here to try and lose sight of those immediate officers right behind him. Again, those are all California Highway Patrol officers, and if I'm correct, I believe those are all fresh officers. They are.
Remember, earlier we had SUVs.
Correct.
And so now you have mostly cruisers, and so you can tell they've rotated some people out.
You called it. You took the words out of my mouth. That's exactly right.
But what's traffic look like in front? We see that it is grinding to a halt. So I mean, he still has
they're blocking on purpose.
Some opportunity to move.
You can't tell me they do not.
In the westbound lanes.
Come on, bro.
He's got about a half quarter mile to a half mile of heavy traffic approaching the 110 freeway. and it looks like he's going to be committed to the 10 freeway here, but if he passes the 110 freeway and stays on the 10, it opens up big time, and he will have much less traffic to contend with if he wants to take this into West LA here. So traffic is opening up. The traffic to the left of him is merging onto the 110 freeway, I believe, or some of those lanes are anyways, and he is using those right lanes where there's a little bit less traffic. Now, whether he goes onto the 110, he's weaving back over to the left here. There's the CHP helicopter, CHP behind him, CHP above him, and we'll see if he takes the 110 freeway, where there's going to be a lot of traffic, or he stays on the 10 freeway and the westbound side of the 10 freeway. I don't want to take the camera off of this shot right here, but I can tell you as I look out the front window of Air 7, the westbound side of the 10 freeway might as well be the Autobahn. It is empty as can be going all the way out to the beach. So he's going to have an empty freeway in front of him if he stays committed to the 10 freeway here.
But in a sense, that's good news. Not necessarily so he can escape, but so fewer people are at risk with whatever might happen through this. And we've not seen him, as you mentioned, drive dangerously erratically, but certainly just erratically. Spontaneity is what has been the tale for this person as he just decides, okay, and now I'm going to switch lanes. And he just finds the gap, as you mentioned, and just moves forward. But you do see CHP right on the bumper of this person, and behind that CHP officer, several others, and they've never given up their watch on this person from the air. And Chris, I think the reason being, as you said it a moment ago, he does have a violent history. So whatever happened to start this chase, whether it was a carjacking or an auto theft, part of me wondered if maybe it wasn't his vehicle and he was looking through someone's bag. You know, remember we saw that searching through the bag in the front. Who knows if he just took it or if that was his stop.
He's looking
there's so many things unknown, except for the fact they know who it is and they know it's potentially dangerous.
You can tell.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And in terms of general safety, you really hit the nail on the head. A wide open, empty freeway like we see here. He is just past the 110 freeway. Now has the westbound lanes of the 10 freeway all to himself. Generally speaking, this is the safest situation for law enforcement because there's much fewer cars that they have to, much fewer innocent motorists that they have to contend with once this does come to a final stop, assuming it comes to a stop on the freeway, which we hope it does. So far, this entire pursuit
unless he drives long enough
the freeway.
that it's not a DUI anymore.
Have we seen him get off the freeway and start trying to traverse some surface streets that he's not familiar with, where things could be much dicier, especially on a busy Thursday afternoon. No, this chase is staying on the freeway. He's on the westbound side of the 10 freeway, which will take him all the way out to West LA, into Santa Monica, and then he can go all the way to PCH if he wants to, or he can get off anywhere between now and then.
Chase of the police isn't as bad legally
to make. And
than a
they
DUI.
will continue this pursuit all the way through here. I mean, just think about it. In the last hour, all of the resources they've dedicated to this pursuit, even though it has not been in pursuit mode the entire time, they've done a pretty great job of balancing the risks on the ground, trying to take some pressure off when they need to alleviate it, and then when they see an opportunity to apply a little more pressure, they'll turn the lights and sirens on and see if that gets his attention, and sure enough, it has worked, and you know, at least in the big picture. He's starting to speed up a little bit as he has a little more room to play with here, maybe about 80 miles per hour at least. We'll go ahead and throw up our speed tracker, and you can see, yeah, he's doing right around 60 miles per hour there. So a little more traffic, and he'll just weave right around that. Continuing Chris, underneath Normandy, yep.
Chris, I hate to say it, but as you hear some movement happening behind the scenes here, we are getting ready for Eyewitness News at 4 o'clock. Giovanna Lara is about to join me as well, but we're just getting into position, so we're switching our seats, we're putting on our microphones. So if for some reason you're hearing all this movement, that's what's going on behind the scenes. Lady. But again, we are watching this chase. We have been watching this chase now for what, Chris, almost 45 minutes or so. And this driver, again, I think I said it earlier, we see that they have pretty tinted windows on the passenger side and the driver's side, and except for on the windshield. And we haven't seen this person hit any other cars, despite we know that this one may be a suspected DUI driver.
Yeah, I caught the tail end of that, but as he is continuing westbound on the 10 freeway here, it almost looked like he was going to get off the freeway. In fact, once again, he's getting all the way over to that right lane. For the first time, I have the feeling he may be looking for an exit opportunity off of the 10 freeway here for whatever reason. I don't know what that reason is because he's got a wide open freeway in front of him, but I just get the feeling the way he's pulled over all the way to the right lane here,
fucking rat's ass about what the fuck she was yapping about
to get off here. But he's been on the phone at various points over the last several minutes. You're right, he's going on about 45 minutes to an hour at least that this pursuit has been going on, and again, it has been in and out of pursuit mode throughout these various CHP jurisdictions. Now getting off at Crenshaw Boulevard for the first time, the suspect is now off the freeway.
Yeah,
he is on the exit ramp at Crenshaw Boulevard, getting off in Jefferson Park, and you can see him now coming up on what I believe is a red light. He'll have a decision to make here. He can go north or south,
tweaking.
green light rather, but he for a southbound turn onto Crenshaw Boulevard. Now for the first time, Colleen, on surface streets. Let's pay really close attention and see how the behavior changes. And he is continuing now southbound on Crenshaw Boulevard, crossing 23rd Street. He's doing about 50 miles per hour on surface streets for the first time. California Highway Patrol behind him. CHP helicopter right above, keeping close tabs on the suspect. And now LAPD keeping a watchful eye on the movement of this pursuit as it meanders through the city here. We are now on Washington Boulevard, just off of Crenshaw Boulevard. Now heading back in the eastbound direction. Eastbound Washington Boulevard, maybe looking for a chance to get back on the freeway, or maybe this is an area where he is a little more familiar with the surroundings and might have a destination in mind. You didn't get that impression for much of this pursuit, but you just never know. He is looking to make a right turn there, now northbound back towards the freeway, possibly looking for an opportunity to get back onto the freeway. I'm sorry, southbound, I should say. Southbound towards the 10 freeway, coming to a stop here for no particular reason whatsoever, and now pulling into a parking lot.
Dude, no way.
Let's see what kind of a commercial business this is. This is a commercial with a parking lot that comes back out. Look at this.
Come on.
Pulling into a parking spot. Law enforcement is going to surround this vehicle at any second here as those CHP officers pull into this parking lot with him. The driver now stepping out of the vehicle, walking towards those officers, waving them off. He is not sober. He is, look at this, he just threw something on the ground, arms and hands up in the air. CHP with their guns drawn, aimed squarely at that driver as he exits the vehicle. He is not complying and is barely communicating. He is now showing his hands. If he takes his hands and puts them in their pockets, he is going to be in big trouble here because he is not listening. There he is.
They're not going to shoot.
Turning around, acknowledging their instructions, and stepping slowly in their direction, walking backwards in reverse away from the vehicle towards those officers. It appears that this driver is now willing to give up there, but very tenuous there for a minute as he was not complying, just kind of acting
unless he pulls out the
wallet. Pursuit. But now he appears to be willing to give up. Hands behind his back, CHP ready to take this suspect into custody. This pursuit coming to a peaceful resolution finally. Thankfully, nobody hurt.
Really,
even though this was an hour-long pursuit that, had some ups and downs, some nervous moments there for sure, but for the most part, we should be relatively grateful that this ended as
chat, we're taking mad.
As it has.
We got spoiled last time with a really good one, chat. Guys, it's rare. I don't want violence. That's not what I said.
You to watch us live on abc7.com and our 24/7 streaming channels.
Make a decision
we are
try to escape.
Ready for our 4 o'clock show.
Saying,
so in just about a minute or two, you
often
will
enough
start our
they follow through with the best they can to escape it. This is like a. Whatever. Maybe one day you'll get it. Alright, I'm out, chat. Alright, chat. Guys, I'm going to bed, chat. Guys, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow, chat, good time, okay? Good time, good schedule, chat, good everything. Yeah.
This news at 4, live on ABC7.
Okay, bye, chat. Guys, I'm going to bed, chat. Guys, goodbye. Take care, chat. Good everything, chat. I'm happy. Hope you're happy. And, don't give up, chat. You got this. We all believe in you. Okay, be happy today, chat. Have some fun wherever you live. Today, make some time for yourself. All right, I'm out. Scoot. Bye. I was saying the haircut. Holy shit. Bye. Bye.